Hi, Denise Naylor here, and welcome to News Views on Monday, 30th of April, 2018. Today I'm talking about TSB and Me. Now, just in case you haven't heard, quick recap. TSB, when it was spun off from the Lloyds Bank in 2015, took on the computer systems, paid to use the computer systems of Lloyds Bank Group, which it had previously been part of. But it was always a condition of the regulator that there would be a migration to a separate platform so that the separation between Lloyds Banking Group and the TSB would be completed. It was originally scheduled for 2017, I think. It's certainly been delayed more than once, and it's certainly been known about. So it is not an unknown unknown. The migration took place on the weekend of 20th, 21st of April 2018. That's about 10 days ago now. And when I got a message on my internet banking that I wouldn't have access to internet banking for that weekend. Okay, that was fine. I did all my banking on the Friday. The following Monday morning, the 23rd of April, just checking the calendar, when I woke up and attempted to log on, I couldn't log on. So more than 1 million customers can't log on either to the internet bank or their mobile banking. I'm one of them. And I've just come back actually from the bank. It's about a 20-minute round trip for me to get to a branch. I'm very lucky that I have a branch that I can get to because, of course, many people don't have a branch. The whole point of the TSB, or one of the major points of the TSB, was that it would be very much an online service. And I must say, normally I use it as an online service. So thinking about what aspect would I discuss about this in the news views, I mean, would I discuss the fact that of the photograph on LinkedIn showing the tech guys in Spain drinking Spanish cava to celebrate their success of the migration? Would I discuss the fact that the chairman and chief executive of Sabadell Bank, the Spanish bank that now owns TSB, were photographed at the Barcelona tennis match drinking champagne when, you know, millions of customers in the UK couldn't even get their money out? No, sorry. You know me. I'm going to focus on the boring bits. So as always, we start with the annual report because the annual report is the only piece of information we have that is independently verified by the auditor. So I'm going to start with the TSP Annual Report, and that is at www.tsb.co.uk, Investor tab. And on page 10, the directors discuss mitigation risk. So the directors are, in the directors report, very open about this. They have it in the report on page 10. They mention the migration. They outline the risks, including operational risk, financial risk, the risk that the management would be distracted by such a large IT project. Of course, that's totally come to pass to be true. So we can't really fault them on that. They set that out. And now we come to the report of the independent auditor, page 113. And the independent auditor is Laura Needham of PwC London, my old firm. I don't know Laura Needham personally. I'm not making any comment, just reading from published information. And she signed off the 31st December 2017 financials on the 1st of February 2018. And I'm going to come back to that date. She gave them a clean audit report, true and fair view. She didn't highlight any concerns. One of the things that the auditor is required to do is to identify what are called key audit matters. This is under the International Standards on Auditing. So when we look at that part of the report on page 114, still in the independent auditor's report, she chooses to highlight the first key audit matter, impairment of retail loans and advances to customers. Okay, fair enough. What that means is that if I borrow money from TSB, which at the moment I don't, but if I did and I didn't pay back, then that is a risk to the company that they don't get the money back. So that's a perfectly reasonable key audit matter to point up. Secondly, she points up the some new accounting coming along with International Financial Reporting Standard number 9 starting 2018. This is a technical matter which is to do with the timing that a bank is permitted to recognise possible losses. So it will impact significantly. Whenever there's an accounting policy change, it will impact reported profits significantly. So again, she was right to highlight that as a key audit matter, in my opinion. And that's it. Nothing about the computer migration. And that surprises me, because wouldn't you think that a massive IT project known to be fraught with difficulty, TSB is the result of multiple mergers going back many, many years, of different banks being absorbed, taken over, merged, acquired. All sorts of legacy IT systems are there. One IT consultant described it as held together by sticking plaster. That doesn't surprise me. The directors mention it, as I've said already on page 10 in the directors report. Under governance, they're quite correct to do that. But the auditor doesn't choose to highlight it. That seems odd to me, but I'll just leave it there. All we can say, because an audit report speaks by what it does not say, which is difficult for the public to understand, so we must assume that Laura Needham considered the matter. She considered it under the risk part of the audit, and she adjusted her confidence levels and testing appropriately to take it into consideration. In any case, she gave the report a true and fair view, a clean report, as I've already said, and under going concern issues, she writes, and I quote, "We have nothing to report in respect of matters in relation to which international standards on auditing require us to report to you." That is to the shareholders. However, because not all future events or conditions can be predicted, this statement is not a guarantee as to the group's and company's ability to continue as a going concern. Well, that's right. But the migration was predicted. It wasn't an unknown. And in view of the old age of the systems that were being replaced, in my opinion, I consider that was highly risky. Interestingly, one of the things that Laura Needham relies on in her report, and this is commonly the case where you rely on external support, is the fact that the Lloyds Banking Group runs the IT systems. So she actually makes the point in writing that she is relying on the report of the external auditor, the work of the external auditor, I should say, excuse me, for Lloyds Banking Group. Now that's absolutely fair. She can't do anything else but do that. So now we go to Lloyds Banking Group, and that is www.lloydsbankinggroup.com. And again, we note that it's the same accounting year, luckily, so 31st of December 2017, year end, and we go to the independent auditor's report. And this is Mark Hannon of PwC London. Oh, that's interesting, same office. But, And he writes, under going concern, "We have nothing material to add or to draw attention to." And again, he gives a clean report, true and fair view, no modifications. And he signs off on the 20th of February 2018. Now that struck me as odd. Here is Laura Needham signing off the audit of TSB, saying, "I'm relying on Lloyds Banking Group external audit work." And she's completely able to do that under auditing standards. She signs on the 1st of February. 19 days before Mark Hannon had signed off on Lloyds. Now, 19 days is a long time in business, as we discovered with this crash of the computer systems with TSB. And it just strikes me that independence, remember, as I've said before to you, independence is about being independent of mind and being seen to be independent. And I can't help thinking that if it were me, I would have waited until Mark Hannon had signed off the Lloyds Banking Group before I signed off the TSB, in view of the reliance of TSB systems on the IT platform provided by Lloyds Banking Group. Just a random opinion on the internet. And the fact that they are both in the same office, PwC London, maybe, I don't know, did they talk to each other? It just makes me a little bit uncomfortable, and I'll just leave it at that for the moment. Now we come to the Board of Directors. The Board of Directors of TSB. And TSB is now a wholly owned subsidiary of a company called Sabadell SA, Société Anonyme. The TSB is a public limited company under UK governance, and it has at the moment 10 non-executive directors according to the annual report and 2 executive directors, so it complies with the corporate governance code. Let's look at the executive directors first of all. We have Paul Pester, he's the CEO, he's been all over the news in the recent days, I'm sure you've seen it. He has a PhD in theoretical physics from the University of Oxford. He went from there through management consulting into senior roles in banking. That is a very well-trodden path for people of that generation. The finance guy is Ralph Coates. He is an FCA, same qualification that I have, and he is from PricewaterhouseCoopers, I believe, South Africa he qualified. And he also has comes through senior finance roles in UK banking. So again, a very traditional, very typical career path. They're the executive directors. The non-executive directors, of the 10, there are 5 chartered accountants of the 10. And remember that the accountant, the executive director, is also an accountant. There are 2 bankers, and you can check this out for yourself. There are 2 who, they give their own CVs, so that's what I'm working on, who are bankers. So that's kind of helpful, having some bankers on the board of a bank. Remember, that was one of the criticisms after the crash in 2007-8, that a lot of bank boards didn't even have anybody with banking experience on them. So TSB, well done for that, 2 bankers. One of them in retail, and one of them in, 2 of them in retail, and one of them with some business experience. They also have 2 academics, somebody who has experience of financial regulation. That's all very good. And they have 1 non-executive director, Stephen Page, who describes himself as having a background in strategy, change management, and technology. Just the skills you might think needed for an IT migration. He has a degree in computer science. The problem is, his date of appointment is listed as the 20th of September 2017. In other words, it seems to me, and I'm just guessing, he was brought in at 1 minute to midnight when they realized they were going to have some problems. Because it's something I've said before, and some of you have heard me say this, that tech is not represented on boards of directors. Boards of directors of public companies are still dominated by my profession, the chartered accountants. Tech is a newer profession, and it hasn't yet worked its way through to board level. But in my opinion, and I've said this for some years now, tech and IT needs to be a strategic issue. There needs to be somebody on the board, at least 1 person, probably more than 1, from a tech and IT background. But at the moment, so okay, TSB realised at the very last minute they needed this and they got someone in, well done to them. But clearly too little and too late. Now you might be thinking, well, I wonder how the accountants got there. Well, back in 2000, when I was a financial regulator, I was at a meeting at a certified accountants building in Lincoln's Inn Fields. I was at a conference, I wasn't speaking, I was just in the audience. And because we turned into the new millennium, there were a lot of conferences about the future, what's going to happen, and things like that. And at this conference, it was announced that the librarians had rebranded themselves as management information experts. I can't remember the name that they were using. Now, perhaps you can imagine the effect that this had on a room full of accountants, mostly men, because in those days, the stereotype of a librarian was a middle-aged lady in twin set and pearls. The room was shocked at the idea that the librarians might take this strategic position in the future. And within days of the conference, the accountants stepped forward and put themselves forward as the appropriate person at board level to be responsible for the IT and tech. And that is exactly what happened. I can't tell you the details, I wasn't sitting at the table, but I remember that threat on the horizon from the librarians, and it disappeared quite quickly. So when you look at pretty much any company, and I've had this experience myself, you take a director role in finance, and 99 times out of 100, you also get responsibility for the IT side. So that is why we've ended up where we've ended up. Now, there were all sorts of good reasons for that, because IT was mainly on the financial systems. That was what IT was used for. Payroll, payment systems, management accounts, routine reporting, regulatory reporting, everything like that. So it made complete sense for the accountants. And by the way, almost nobody else wanted it, apart from the librarians, who missed out. But now, of course, tech is used for customer service applications, marketing applications, HR applications, numerous other things. As I've said, and I'll say it again, in my opinion, tech and IT should be a strategic issue dealt with at board level. But I can't help wondering what the boards of public limited companies would have looked like if there'd been a few more twin sets and pearls. Thanks for supporting the Cash Genie Global, and do join me again.